Let's move on to another oldie but goodie that's turning out to be a goodie, whatever. And that is it. Welcome to Diary. It's a HBO original. Just off that, I'm already nervous because we all know what Warner Brothers is as a company, and that is under HBO is under Warner Brothers. So hopefully that doesn't affect the trajectory of this show. But right now, it's 4 episodes out. The series was developed by Andy and Barbara. I can't say their last name. Moniski. I probably butchered their name, but yeah, those two. It is produced by companies including Warner Brothers Television, Vertigo Entertainment, and Rod Back for HBO. Those are the main producers. This series is a prequel to the films based on Stephen King's novel It, and it explores a earlier history of the town Diary and the entity known as Pennywise. So, like I said, there's 4 episodes. I know I'm not trying to spoil anything, but I'm just gonna go a little general about the episodes. The first episode one, The Gathering Storm, especially just an introduction episode, but it places the time period in the 1950s or 60s, so very, very early on than any of the recent movie time frame. So very, very early in, I guess, the creation or discovery of Pennywise character. And that was basically episode 1, is bringing you introducing you to all these characters. Episode 2 is into the deeps. Individuals start investigating, exactly what is going on in the town and why things are. Episode 3, Blood in the Water. This is when shit start hitting the fan. It gets real dark real fast. And I will repeat, this is not for kids. These are for this show is for grown-ups. Kids watch this show, they're gonna have some nightmares. And yeah, it gets really, really, really graphic too as well. Some of the CGI is pretty good. Some of it you can tell they kind of had to ring in the pocketbook song, but the CGI overall is decent, above average, I would say. The last episode 4 is called The Ritual. Some individuals decide to try to fight back against the monster and the entity that is Pennywise, and that's where we at. There's supposed to be 8 episodes in total for season 1, and there was talks of 9 episodes, but I think most of the tea leaves said it's just 8 episodes, which is kind of standard. That's nothing abnormal. And the creators, Andy and his team, have said that this is a multiple season series. They said that there's going to be 3 seasons. Those 3 seasons each are planned to cover a different era of the town of Diary. Season 1, 1962 range, season 2, 1935 range, and season 3, 1908 range. So it's going further and further back the more the later the season, which is interesting. They're kind of telling the story backwards. So I'm very intrigued by that. But this show, so far, so good. I like it. It's very intriguing. Like I said, it's just some stuff you cannot tell in a span of 2.5 hours. You need the slow burn. And I think this is exactly what the It series should have been. It kind of how it was originally. It was a series and they pieced it together and they put it into like a movie frame. But I think this slow burn, and basically I learned new things about the It character, the clown and all that, where it came from, how it came to be, how exactly can you manipulate it, because there are ways you can manipulate back to the monster. So just seeing that in a slow burn, I think is really the best setup for this IP. How do you feel? Because we watched some episodes together.
Episode 1 to episode 4. I like the background. They're going, as you said, they're going starting a little further back. They're going more further back into the lore of it, kind of showing how it works. Be a little spoilerish, but the U.S. government plays a hand into this show, and that
Mm-hmm.
just it begs the question. And you go back and watch the movies. Everyone just is oblivious to what's happening around the town. The adults are kind of in the haze.
Yeah.
Children are disappearing, the whole nine, but the movies sort of touch on this a little bit, but the show gives a bit more detail. And going to
Mm-hmm.
the spoiler, one of the characters kind of shows there's a bridge to be got between our reality versus where the creature it comes from. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really really, really good. As you mentioned, it is supposed to take 3 seasons, each season taking place in a different time period, going a little bit further back. But I just want to say this. If you go back and watch, I think, the remake of the first one, character Ben talks about how Derry, every so many years, not just the awakening of the creature and stuff happens, the catastrophes as it builds and leads up to it. And no one seems to just think like, oh, how dangerous or bad a place of Derry is. So I think the further along we go back, the more messed up, the more carnage that will happen. I myself just finished rewatching the chapter 1 and 2 of it this weekend as we're recording this, and this series is dark, and I love it. And you can tell so much more, as we've stated before, in a show than you can in a movie. The original was a miniseries based off of Stephen King's novel, not to repeat. Seeing it in show form, Welcome to Derry, you just see there's so much more that can be done, that will be done. And I hope they kind of, as we get further back, they try to tap into more of Stephen King's universe he created for this, the turtle, the macroverse, etc. And the show hints. There are so many hints and callbacks
Oh,
to
yeah,
things from the books
the
and the movies
turtle.
that you missed. Not to spoil anything, since the show is still ongoing. There are 4 more episodes, which I think is well quite enough. I understand people think, oh, more, more, more. No, 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 no. Look here. Look. Each episode is an hour long. Your standard television show is normally 20 to 22 minutes. So
Mhm.
technically, one of each episode is technically 3 episodes. And since it's HBO, aka Warner Brothers, there's no commercials. There's no filler. You don't see a fade to black for 2 seconds and then transition another scene. And you're like, well, that's the commercial that was removed. You don't get none of that. It is just pure entertainment. From the beginning, I look forward to where they put and take this show. They want to just do the 3 seasons. It's possible it could be more. Going back to the founding-esque of Derry. I can't talk about that because that was in episode 4. But just check it out, audience. Just check it out. If you're unsure about anything we've ever promoted or whatnot, we are fully on suggesting. And again, this is not for children. Because I can tell you
Yeah,
right now,
it's not.
the original, I watched that as original. Now going back watching it now, it's like, oh man, I can't believe this used to scare me. But going back, that original way back in the day, that made me hate clown. That is the reason why I have certain fears or phobias I have now. That movie kind of fucked me up. But this, you won't be disappointed. Same
Mhm.
thing with the Alien Earth show. If that you're into sci-fi, I look forward to it. Let us know your thoughts, your comments, and how do you feel about the quote unquote it?
I do wanna ask you one thing, cause we went back to back on some old IPs coming back into TV show format. Do you think this is a indication that some of them old IPs still have life in them? Still have things that they could tell? I mean, obviously, but do you just think that these companies are kinda in the mindset of why waste unnecessary money and try to make a 2-hour movie to where we can make a TV series and draw them out for a longer period of time? I mean, is this just a shift away from movies because of streaming service success and they're like, "Why fight against it? Let's just go with the tide and just make a series versus a movie." Like, kinda what are your thoughts in that? Because it's interesting that both these are older IP are coming back in a TV-like setting.
So I can answer that in kind of a 2 part. From what I learned in film school, when you run out of ideas for a sequel, hold on, just hear me out. Just hear me out. When you run out of ideas for a sequel to push anything further, you go with a prequel.
Mhm.
Now, are you asking? I have to answer a bit of your question with a question. Are you asking me, is more of Stephen King's esque stuff can be done more like this, or everything in general from old of our childhood, like let's say Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, kinda like that,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah. So there's success for a lot of these to be brought back and more explored. And I would say it's better for them to do it like how we're saying with this television show. I'll explain why. With the movie, yes, a 2.5 hour movie with the production costs and CGI of everything today, you do run a risk. Your modern audience slash the younger audience won't know dick on what a Friday the 13th, a It, or any of these old properties, and you put that out in film, you put it in theaters, and you say like, oh, based off of so and so from 30 or 1 years ago, they had me looking like, oh, well, I didn't see that. And I don't want to see this. I don't know what's happening.
Mhm.
But do it in a film and you can tell a more longer, granular story, put a milking them in. And then not only that, if it's done right, you can retain the audience. By that I mean Hulu and Alien Earth, instead of dumping all those episodes out at once, a la Netflix, they're even starting to switch around. Each episode came out week by week. You have a lot of streaming services that are changing how they put out show content like that. Instead of dumping it all at once and you get somebody subscribe for a month, watch that and watch God knows everything else and bounce, you do it week by week. Okay, well, now you have to at least have 2 to 3 months of engagement, hence revenue, to keep the people engaged. It gives them a
Yeah.
little bit more something to work toward. Now, older properties, I believe yes, depending on how they're done. Friday the 13th, that could be brought back. Timing and how they go into it, but that probably wouldn't be a good IP to do because the beginning of that, there was a lot of bullying. Probably there's no way for you to spin that without any and everyone getting into an uproar. But your older IPs, like we grew up on, like say Nightmare on Elm Street, even though that's a little controversial, that you can twist around to make into something big. You can do a beginning story of him before he got unalived and became what he is. Because a lot of people do not know there's deep lore into Nightmare on Elm Street. There's like three, I'm gonna get huge to it. There's three entities gave him the power, what he does to do what he did. And your average person just watching the films not knowing does not know this. Older properties like this can find new life, digital streaming-esque era when it's done by the right company.
Yeah.
HBO, I have always said, is a top tier indoor entertainment company because they almost have no hold bar limit. You can push it as far as it needs to go without FCC like whoa, hold on, buddy, can't put this on ABC. You know, HBO is for graphic, grittier. Welcome to Derry. You couldn't have that on any other network, even as far as Netflix. Even Netflix is tame to a certain degree. Netflix does not have every movie of certain genres or certain things that's a little extreme. You probably would never see old Hellraiser movies on Netflix. You probably won't see certain old school animes on Netflix before anime got a little more tamed, you know? Like Ninja Scroll. We all know that anime. Great movie. Awesome. That wouldn't come up on Netflix. It's a little too envelope pushing. But I can see a future where these corporate offices, rather than risk so much money on making something new and it fails, or trying to take an old concept and let's put a modern twist on it, $80 million, that's too much to risk, Ben. Whereas, hey, I could take 20 mil and take this old IP, you know, from early 80s, 90s, and we can make it to a show. I can
Mm.
see more coming from something like this.
And, it's crazy because, like, in other situations, we be like, "Why are you trying to go back to old stuff? It's already had its time." But this is something that I approve of. If you can go back and tell the It story in a more detail, even Alien or Predator or Freddy, any of those old, and it just so happens all of them are in the horror section. If you can go back and tell some of those movies in a more detailed format that a la streaming service, whether it's Hulu, HBO, anybody, I'm all for it. Now, the only thing that makes me nervous, like I said, it is that the fact that HBO's parent company, Warner Brothers, is just they are in the dumpster fire. I mean, that has nothing to do with HBO originals. That has nothing to do with that. But it's just the fact that the uncertainty of the parent company just makes me nervous. But I think this is a good show. I would recommend it to anybody. If you're a grown up, do not let your kids watch this any episode because all episodes kind of get to the shits. So do not let your children see this. But let us know in the comments how you feel and how you feel about the show going forward.
I do
Next.
agree with you, but you made me think back on what were the specific terms or listings of the Warner Brother deal. Is HBO included for sale as the entity? Because I know we were reported on it and there was talks later on that to sell everything in one large chunk,
Might be a bit
there's
much.
no one with the money to purchase that in a sense, except for the two possibilities or two entities that we thought of, and one of them is off the cards. The FTC will not allow them to have all that at once. That was why you had rumors of PlayStation looking into the gaming division, which they've came out and said we're not interested. Then there's Apple, who hey, we're interested in the Warner Brothers section. That would do nothing but boost Apple Plus TV, and they
Yeah.
could probably do a good job with it. Disney did with Fox. But you make me think, was HBO specifically listed as like, on the table? Because as far as I know, HBO originals sell, or they are all very successful to me.
Yeah,
And
if memory serves me right, I think the shows do good, but as the whole, there's so much debt that none of the success of the shows is gonna fucking clear that debt. And so I think HBO is one of the things that is offered up. Maybe not as a whole package, but individually. And like, I do believe if Apple got a hold of HBO, I would like that. I think all the IPs would their integrity would be kept, and Apple will probably like those producers and showmakers under their umbrella as well. Yeah, I can't remember, and there's no telling. Look, there's not even a lot of talks about people coming forward that wants to buy Warner Brothers. So who knows? They might just be stuck in their situation for a long period of time. But I think everything is up in the air for sale, pretty much in some capacity. They're $46 billion in debt, so I think everything's up for sale.
because originally they offered up before that they were for sale, and there
Mhm.
was there were many suitors that came forward
Mhm.
offering up. I know one company offered 3 billion, another one said 7 billion, and AT was just like, no, that's not enough. And they had people wondering, like, well, what do you want? Because we're
They
not
want s
here to fix your problems. We're here
they
to
want
buy product.
$49 billion to
That,
clear the
that, that, that,
debt.
that's not happening. That's not happening. And then the other thing you mentioned, yes, more IPs done like this will be better and would be great. They need to pick and choose what type of old school thing, beloved by many, to be brought back. A thing that I just crossed my mind. If they brought Back to the Future, it was like, yeah, we're gonna make this to a series. No, you should not do that.
Yeah,
You should
nah,
not do
let's
that.
chill out, chill out,
There's
chill out.
there's no way for you to stretch 3 movies into 3 seasons and explain anything that wasn't already explained in the movies in themselves.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add on to that one before we moved on.
Yeah, but this is a good show. I feel like it's going to get all the praise, just like the Alien movie, if not better. Rotten Tomato scores and all that from both critics and fans, and they will get a sense of new people, new younger generation that like it. And I wonder, will this eventually kind of snowball into a movie release? I don't know. I think there's the possibilities of these shows are endless, and anything can happen. I guess it's all what I'm saying. So
It could
Ne
be, absolutely. Even in a sense, it could change horror in a
Oh
sense.
god, yes.
Traditional horror, the jump scares, and
Yeah.
the way of old, that does not cut it or work anymore. That's why
Yeah.
the
I,
Friday the 13th reboot failed, and all of
mhm.
those. For now, it goes in two forms. It's either the psychological horror, which really mind fucks you, or, and I hate to say this, it's more of the religious aspect of horror, a la the Conjuring slash those type of films that will really, really make you sit up here and be looking out your window at night like, hey, what was that shimmer? But like my co-host said, let us know how you all feel about all of this in the comments, and have you been looking at and or watching. And that's it for this video of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll never miss our next hot take. Until next time, are you not entertained?